So this is another one from Ray Dalio's Principles. And I'm so fucking pumped to be here again. As quite every single day. Yesterday there was only no YouTube episode actually. I've uploaded it today because I didn't actually have the time initially, just in the end it was like, okay, really fucked up because my train was delayed and everything for I think 40 minutes or something, or maybe an hour even in the end, which was a little bit fucked up because in this time I could have, totally been uploading the fucking episode, which was a little bit fucked up, but you know what? Doesn't matter because today there's maybe even gonna be 3 episodes, and yeah, I'm just wearing some bike trouser things, which are quite tight. They are really tight. But yeah, I think it's quite okay. I do just have to make an thumbnail for yesterday's episode and so on. But yeah, we will go through another part of Ray Dalio's Principles on the alanchang.com website. And before I forget, if you are on the YouTube video, there's also this exact episode is also available as a podcast, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on quite everywhere. Like everywhere you're gonna be able to listen to podcasts. There is also my podcast. It's called the SDWT, or Self-Development with Tactics podcast. You're gonna find all the links down in the description if you're on a YouTube video, and if you're on the podcast already, and if you want to watch the YouTube video, then also all the links are down in the podcast episode description. So on your podcast episode, there is gonna be a description where the first thing is gonna be just a little description somehow on what this episode is all about, as on this YouTube video. And then down below there should be every singular relevant link you maybe are searching for. But yeah, I'm so fucking pumped. I would really fucking miss it if I wasn't doing these episodes any longer. I would really fucking miss that, and I'm very sorry if I'm just a little bit too hyped. I was just working out before and I might get out of breath pretty quickly today. Today is actually pretty nice weather, and I hope at your country and at your place it's also just pretty fucking nice weather. I think it's actually 29 degrees Celsius, which is 84.2 or 2 degrees Fahrenheit, which is definitely pretty hot and which is definitely pretty nice. But yeah, this episode will start with visualizing complex systems as machines? Is it machines actually? I don't fucking know. I think it's actually machines, yeah. Yeah, it's a machine. So visualizing complex systems as machines. A favorite theme of Ray Dalio's is to view things chopped down as a machine, which was also the case with human beings. He also said that you should view yourself as a machine, which in some cases works pretty fucking well. If you think about nutrition and if you think about being healthy, then visualizing yourself as a machine is pretty great, I would say, because you will see if you fuel a machine with, fucked up fuel, with fuel that isn't actually there for this certain machine, then it's not going to work as good as with the proper fuel. And I think it's the same thing with human beings as well. But we don't actually realize that, or we don't actually give a fuck about that. A lot of people just give a fuck about nutrition, even though it's a really, really, really fucking important factor for your well-being, for you being able to perform on your top level, for quite a lot of things. I would say also for your ability to sleep well. If you drink a lot of alcohol, you won't be able to really sleep that well, or if you're consuming a lot of caffeine. This would also just reduce your ability to sleep well, but a lot of missed it out. And I quite don't understand it. It is somehow obvious and somehow it's not. So I do, through my empathy, I do through my empathy, understand all these people who actually do just really give a fuck about their fucking nutrition. Because yeah, you know, there are a lot of things that really taste well. You know, I'm not gonna lie, there are so many things that taste absolutely gorgeous and absolutely amazing. And I'm still not saying that you should just, you know, keep them away just completely. I guess it is totally fine if you just consume a little portion of all these amazingly good tasting things, but you shouldn't overdo it. Yeah. But I think this metaphor is actually pretty nice. So viewing yourself and other things, as I'm assuming, can actually give you, maybe a little boost in terms of your self-awareness. But yeah, let's see and let's go ahead. So this applies to you as a machine in life. It also applies to organizations. See more in work principles. Looking from bottom up only will constrain your ability to find universal laws. If you see humans top down as one of millions of animal species, you will see the vast commonalities we have with animals, which is actually pretty true, which is completely true, and which is also pretty amazing if you really focus on that. If you focus on this aspect of human beings, I just gonna say something. I just really have to say something. I love these fucking long form videos. I love talking here about things that I care about in a language that I also care about, because my mother tongue is definitely not English. It's German, by the way, but I love English. I really love English. I don't know why. I like to use this language, maybe because I can reach so many more people through what I'm doing. And what I'm doing here is actually just really improving my English, and it's really improving my ability to just reach people. Somehow, like, I gotta reach people even though it's in 5 years. You know, it's gonna be about the long term, not about the short term, and everything's gonna be a little bit nice, I guess. Like, if you really focus on being rich and being successful and being just the best YouTuber on the whole planet in 5 years, you're not gonna stress yourself out as much as you would think about it as, like, okay, I'm gonna be the best YouTuber, the richest person on the fucking planet in 5 months. You know, I think you gotta be just really fucking stressed out if this is actually your goal. But coming back to the original point, I think it's actually very interesting if you look at people and just think about them as animals. And there are totally a lot of similarities. Not everything is quite similar, for sure. We have the intelligence of moss growing... We have the intelligence of moss growing on a rock compared to nature as a whole. We are incapable of designing and building a mosquito, let alone all the species and most of the other things in the universe. Whole systems can operate with the individual merely understanding its own self-interest rather than the entire game. An example would be, sex is a hell of an incentive in the form of pleasure, but it advances DNA at a system level without people thinking about it. I didn't know that. I didn't know that it is actually doing something with our DNA, but it advances DNA at a system level without people thinking about it. I really only thought about sex just being a pleasure. And it totally makes sense that it is a pleasure, because if it wasn't a pleasure, nobody would fucking do it. Nobody would have thought about the whole concept. Like, nobody would have. And actually, this is one of the things that I was asking myself. Who the fuck came to the conclusion to put this into a hole? Or the other way around, like, which woman? Like, who came to this fucking idea? I don't know, maybe it's the same debate with what was earlier there. The mixing up German and English. The egg or the chicken, actually. And I don't know, I hadn't thought about it that much, to be honest. So yeah, I think I gotta just let it be what it is. So for life, think of yourself as a machine operating within a machine. You are both a worker as well as a designer. You can alter your machines to produce better outcomes. Design a team in a machine to best meet the outcome. For example, a military goal is to take a hill from an enemy. First you design a machine, 2 scouts, 2 snipers, 8 infantrymen, etc. Then you put the right people in each position to produce the best outcome. The designer, you must figure out if the worker is really appropriate in the position, is trustworthy, or needs to be fired. Consider the rules or algorithms you use for decision making. If they lead to the wrong output, their weightings or rules need to be changed, and they totally have to be changed. If you really see that you're just always making bad decisions, you just have to change something up. Whether it's your rules, your values, and/or your goals, or you just have to think about your process of actually making decisions. Because I always say, and I'm still thinking about it as the best thing, like in terms of decision making, if you really just if you're basing all your decisions you're making on your values and goals, there's no fucking way you're gonna be just upset about your decisions. Because if they're really only based on your values and your goals, there's first of all not a big just somehow cliff between you achieving you and your goals. Like if you really just only make decisions based on them, the probability, I think, is just really fucking high that you're actually gonna reach them, and reach them pretty quickly as well. And I think if this is actually something that makes you happy, and I assume your values are making you somehow happy and are very important for you, and if you're making decisions based on them, I kind of think like, there's no way around you actually being happy and you actually being satisfied. But I might be just wrong here, I don't know. What do you think about it? This would be actually fucking nice. I'm really looking forward to the times where actually people are listening to me, people are watching what I'm saying, so that I also can see like, okay, is this what I'm talking about? Does this make sense? Or does it help other human beings? Or is it like nonsense, which could definitely be the case? Because I don't know, I only have my voice in my head, and I only have the books and all the articles in front of me that I'm basically consuming and trying to somehow add something to them, or just kind of explain, maybe kind of explain. Think of your time and effort as being put into investments. If the ROI is poor, then remove that investment. Actually makes sense. Like if you're really just investing your time and energy and effort into something that's just completely bullshit, then your ROI is pretty tiny. So let's say you put 1,000 into an investment and know that it will go to $0 in 2 years. You have the chance to pull out money now. Would you leave it in? Like nobody would. If you really truly know that this $1,000 is gonna be just 2 or gonna be nothing in 2 years, and you have actually the ability and the chance to put all the money out, I guess you would. And I think it's a great analogy. These are always just these words like metaphor, analogy, and whatsoever that I'm mixing up. And I like to mix them up. So would you leave it in? Obviously not. So why is your time any different? Be intolerable of your weaknesses like you would be intolerable of your computer breaking down. It must be repaired. Truly makes sense, even though I'm often thinking about if it actually makes sense to work on your weaknesses. Like to some degree it does. It really does if you just need it. And this is also one of the problems that I'm having with school. Like, I'm in general a pretty good student. But I see there are totally certain subjects I'm not as good at than others. And does it then make sense that I'm working on them? Because for sure, in terms of school as a system, and in terms of school and the government and whatsoever, they for sure just want us to have the same education. So everyone that's going into the same school should have the same education. But for my life, just seeing it in the macro doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, I'm not gonna need this stuff because I'm not good at it, and actually just trying to get good at this certain thing that I'm just really weak in will take a lot of time and effort, and I'm not going to be the best at it, because there's still going to be some people that are just really talented at this certain subject, and or they just really love it, and they always, will be just better than I am, or I will be. So yeah, for sure, to some degree, working on your weaknesses totally makes sense. Please don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. For economics, Dalio visualizes the cause effect commodities had on each other. The quantity of livestock and how much weight they gained predicted demand for corn and soybean. Look at systems with a granular perspective. What actual is granular? Powder, grainy, granulated, gritty, sandy. I have never ever... Because there's actually a pretty good translation into German, but I think I've never used it in such a way, and I'm just thinking about it if I'm actually able to use it in such a way, but I guess not actually. So look at systems with a granular perspective. Instead of seeing supply and demand, ask bulk quantities sold, measure demand as the amount spent, look at who buyers and sellers, look at who buys and sells, and why they buy and sell. In business accounting, separate profits coming from the core business and speculative profits from price changes. This shows a risk-neutral position beyond which one could speculate if desired. Bridgewater detected a debt crisis in Europe around 2010. Policymakers in Europe didn't understand granularly who the borrowers and lenders were and how their abilities to borrow and lend would change with market conditions. They saw investors as a single market that could be influenced with large pushes. So what I'm just taking out of this is, and I'm not quite sure, and this would then now be great if somebody could actually be like, okay, you're true, and you what you have been saying makes sense, but what I'm seeing is that those policymakers in Europe actually only saw the macro, so only the big thing, but they haven't been going into depth actually, and they haven't seen like the little man or like all these people in the whole investors quote unquote market. Systems are naturally self-correcting. If there's too much supply in a market, prices will go down. Companies will go bankrupt and supply reduces to demand. Actually, pretty much the case. It's the same thing with influencers. Like, if one just wants to view, or when a lot of people just want to view your content, there's gonna be a lot of people who wanna or who gonna be viewing your content. Or how should I say it? How should I actually say what I meant? Because this is basically like, okay, if you drink water, you drink water. So like, yeah, shut up, fuck. shut up, man. No, but it totally makes sense. Like, maybe I'm just putting it like this. If your content is good and if your content is likable, then people will watch it. If your content is shit, people won't watch it. And if you're putting out content and nobody's watching it, maybe you just have to change it. Even though, in terms of this, I do actually also have to say that you should be patient. Because I'm basically not having any fucking people who are watching my shit. I don't know if it's because it is boring, it is shit, because I'm just not a charismatic and I'm not a just likable person. I don't know. I really don't know up to this point, but I think I'm gonna see. I think I'm going to see in, I don't know, half a year or 1 year or 2 years. Maybe there's, gonna be something, maybe not, but I'll see. Should I actually? Yeah, I totally should. Work principles, which is actually or seems to be the next big chapter, and we're going further and further and further with the summary. And I really guess that I've already been making 2 weeks of this book. I guess, which is totally nothing bad. Not want to say that, but But yeah, I think as long as there's something I can extract out of it, and as long as there's something like value, or at least I think about it as value, is in this, everything is right and everything is okay. So work principles. Work principles are really just an extension of life principles to the organizational scale. The ultimate goal is to find the truth by leveraging the strengths of the group. The trick to do this is thoughtfully. What the fuck? So the trick is to do this thoughtfully while bypassing the inevitable emotional conflicts that arise. Intro points. A great organization has great people and a great culture. Totally fucking true. And this is actually something that I've seen and I've read so fucking often, that it is really important that your culture in your company is actually good. And I don't know if you know VaynerMedia, which is actually Gary Vaynerchuk's company. It's an advertising company, new media advertising company. And they're making a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff. Maybe there's going to be something bad in it. I don't actually know. But Tom Billio, who is actually one of the founders of Quest, so Quest Nutrition, the Quest bars, and they're pretty famous, I would say. And he's also made a lot of money through this. I think his net worth is about 400 million or something. So he's totally just, pretty wealthy, I would say. And he's also having a show called Impact Theory, which is actually also pretty great, with a lot of great minds and a lot of great people who actually are interviewed by Tom Billio himself. And Tom Billio said that he saw in Gary's company that there were a lot of people hugging each other. And I think then he said something like, okay, and from this point on, he knew that this is going to be a great company, or this is a great company already, because it is about the culture. And I think it truly is, like, if the culture in your company is bad and nobody actually wants, to work with each other, and everyone wants to do just his own shit, and nobody even likes the company or something, I guess it won't, do good. So the company won't do good. And I don't know where it was, but I've also read that often you actually see from the outside that the culture inside or the structures inside of a company are bad. I don't actually know how. Maybe it's just in terms of the sales they're gonna make, or in terms of their stock, if it's a public company. But I don't know. Like, I really don't. But this is just something that I've read somewhere. It would be nice to actually remember what it was. Great people have great character and great capabilities. One without the other is dangerous. People who aren't aligned on a mission will work for different conflicting goals. An idea mediocrity is the best system for making decisions. What is meritocracy? Government of the holding of power by people selected according to merit. Process towards mediocrity was slow. And it's the same fucking thing as in fucking German. Like, it's not gonna help me. Really not. So bring together smart, independent thinkers, have them thoughtfully disagree, and abide, tolerate, bear, stand, put up with, endure, suffer, accept, abide by agreed upon ways of getting past disagreement. This will yield the best collective thinking. This is achieved by radical truth, radical transparency, thoughtful disagreement, believability, weighted decision making. Look down on the organization as a machine consisting of culture, people, and processes. The goal is to create a machine that works so well you can sit back and watch beauty happen. Compare its outputs with its goals. If it is falling apart, or if it's falling short, then something is wrong with the people or the design. Totally makes sense. And there's then a new thing And I don't know, I probably should go through it because there's a lot of time left. Yeah, I'm gonna go through it. So, radical truth and radical transparency. To be great, you cannot compromise the uncompromisable. The uncompromisable is finding out the objective truth and making the best decision. I think it's actually very, very, very important to be truthful to yourself in your life. And I guess it's also the same thing within a company. Like, it makes sense. It really, truly makes sense that you gotta be honest to your employees. Like, maybe it has to do with actually communication. Because I guess, if you're communicating something and people understand it poorly or wrongly or whatsoever, and then they are actually gonna pursue different goals that you actually meant to have or that you actually wanted to have, then it's fucking bad. Like, they're gonna do something different than you actually want, and that's not good. Or at least just like it feels not good. It totally doesn't feel good. What is compromisable? Emotion, ego, and anxiety. Little deals that distract from the big deal of knowing and acting on the truth. Which is actually true. Like, emotions and especially ego, I would say, really can distract from the truth. Like, I can always, just put it into my personal thing or like life. If you just are so egotistical about you actually being the greatest, the greatest designer on the whole planet, but you are not, and you're not just realizing it, and you're not just kind of being truthful to yourself, then it's gonna be bad, because you will pursue something that's unpursuable, because you will never get to this goal that you're having, because you're not transparent or you're not truthful to yourself. If this makes any sense right now, I guess it does. So the more truthful information you have access to, the better the decisions you can make. This is why radical truth and transparency are important. Learning is compounded when everyone is able to hear what everyone else is thinking. Hiding the truth from people is like letting your kids grow while believing in the tooth fairy. So hiding the truth from people is like letting your kids grow while believing in the tooth fairy. It makes sense, in terms of actually getting new ideas, getting new just product ideas, whatever it will be. You really have to say everything that you're thinking about. Like, maybe through this, what you're saying, someone else is just able to really get a great idea. It's totally possible, nothing is not possible. Like, I'm just thinking about a lot of just really smart people sitting in a room with a round table, all just, in a circle and something. And when one starts having an idea and he or she actually has to say it, then others will pop up and being like, okay, and we could do this and that. And then another one pops out and says, okay, what if we do it this way and that way? And then you're going to have just a lot of fucking ideas, which is, I guess, really just really, really great for a company. Like, it's really great if you do have just a lot of ideas for things you can do, for things you can pursue, for things you can just try to create. It just makes sense. I do think that there are also other layers of being transparent, but I'm to be really honest, I can't think about something else. But there is definitely something else, and I do hope that you're getting it, even though I'm not. But yeah, this is actually the end of the episode. I do hope that you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it totally. I think I'm gonna record another episode quite afterward, because it just makes sense somehow, because I do just have the time right now somehow. But yeah, I wish you the best, and I'll see you, and I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And I hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you're going to be remembered. Whether you're going to be remembered as a good person or as a bad person. Because you decide. You really decide. It's in your hands and in nobody else's hands. I see you. Thank you for watching. I love you.